Hello, and welcome to another edition of Straight from the Training Ground, the podcast where we share our love for the beautiful game and the people out in our communities doing beautiful things. We're very excited to have with us a special guest today, Ben Chehebar, the founder of 11 Football, just returned from a long trip to China. So we're very glad he made time to be on here with us. But he's an entrepreneur in the soccer world. He's out creating some wonderful things. We're very excited to have a few minutes to talk to him. So, Ben, thanks a lot, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, Ben, why don't you tell everybody a little bit real quick about just your general background in soccer and what was your motivation to try to go out and start a company?
Yeah, I'd say my background in soccer, I grew up around it. My mom is from Manchester, England. She came from a house divided. Half was Man City, half was Man United. I think she brought that to our childhood of just, soccer was the sport in our house. I had two older brothers who played. I played myself, basically up until college. And just fell in love with the sport since an early age.
So then before we get into what 11 Football is and what you hope it becomes, what got you to this point where you wanted to decide, it's a big leap, and I've talked to other people on our podcast, entrepreneurs and people like you. What kind of was your motivation or what inspired you to try to start your own soccer thing?
I think it probably started when I was actually playing soccer, maybe more seriously. I was a goalkeeper, so goalkeepers always have like a lot of equipment beyond cleats. And I think I was probably more obsessed with my equipment than I was with actually like playing at some point in my career.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like maybe where the idea first started. I recognized I had a passion for the products I was using. And I think that developed when I went to college and got more involved with the entrepreneurship center out there and what it meant to build a business. And so really starting 11 was about more like combining passions I had for building physical products and just the game of soccer.
Very cool. Very cool. So we'll pull up your website here in a minute, and reminder, we'll put all your links down below to 11 Football, and make sure you check them out, not only online, but on social media as well, because there's some great content on there from about the last week or so. Tell us a little bit about your trip to China.
Yeah. So I've actually been to China before.
Okay.
So the previous business I ran, we actually manufactured electronics in China. So I've been to China maybe 15 times before this trip, but this is my first time visiting a shoe factory. And no, it was honestly an incredible trip. Obviously getting to see our shoe still in production, but like making samples in real life was like quite an experience. Visiting basically all of our suppliers, whether it's like the raw fabric or the packaging or the molds, really all of that was like very eye-opening. And it's an incredible culture in China. They work super hard. They work 6 days a week, 12-hour days. And I was basically working the whole time. So it was also, pretty exhausting, but very productive, very productive.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that. We tell everybody a little bit about, I think just from following you on social media over that trip, I think people think you walk into a factory and they just produce the shoe right there, right? Can you explain a little bit about the whole process of the various places you went to? Like, It seems like one building does one aspect, but then you have to go to another place maybe 20 minutes away, and that whole process. Then there's packaging, like you said, and there's so many other aspects, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So when I say factory, I guess it's really factories. So the main factory that I work with, that I have a direct relationship with, is the factory who's doing the final assembly. So they're sewing, gluing, putting into the final box, things like that. But yeah, we've got, a packaging supplier that's making custom boxes and tissue paper and hang tags for us. We've got suppliers that are actually molding the midsole and the outsole for us. We have a lot of like raw material suppliers we work with directly, like the kangaroo leather that we're sourcing. So yeah, it's really, you really get an idea of like what it means to construct a supply chain, in real time, bringing all these different factories or manufacturers together to build a shoe.
Yeah, very cool. You had me, by the way, at kangaroo leather. There you go. I'm old school. I appreciate
I'm
it.
a purist also. It's in some groups it's not the most popular material. I think there's some issues with it, but it really is the best material you can use for a soccer boot. It's actually 2.5 times stronger than a standard cow leather, more durable, and also just like the feel and the smell. It's just it's amazing. So you
nothing
can't
like it. Yeah, nothing like it. So if you don't mind, I'm going to pull up your website, and as we'll get into this more detail here in a minute. But so tell everybody a little bit about 11 Football, what it is.
Yeah, so 11 Football is a new soccer brand that is launching this summer. We are launching a turf boot only to start, which is really focused on a more classic, understated look and aesthetic, and for more like the everyday athlete who plays, on weekends or a couple days a week, who just loves the sport of soccer.
Okay, and timeline you think this summer, is that at least the goal right now?
Yeah, maybe a couple more trips to China. Yeah, well, we're sprinting to do like late summer, I think. So August is probably realistic at this point. But we're going to be kicking off wear testing. So we're doing like a small batch of production that we're going to be working with a number of players to do some testing for us to get some feedback. It'll happen the next month, and then there's like a lot of lead times with materials, et cetera, as you ramp into production.
Sure. Yeah. Now, long term, is there any plans, or would you love to see? I don't want to get you ahead of yourself, but FG boots, more than one line of boots? Is it just going to be one kind of classic leather boot? What's your long term goal in terms of production after the turf boot?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, I'm just so focused on making this first product success and amazing.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think if we can nail it, that'll give us the opportunity to expand into other products. I'm a big fan of focus, so I don't see us going into really apparel or going too far from boots. But I think absolutely, I think we want to outfit every soccer player, and that obviously would include indoor and firm ground cleats and all of that. So we're hoping to expand the line pretty soon after the launch of the first turf shoe.
And again, make sure you check out the links below and check out 11 Football. Check those out. Hopefully late summer, coming up in August, like Ben said.
Yeah.
So Ben, obviously, I'm sure I've talked to other entrepreneurs in your situation with various soccer things, and there's a lot of more negative days, they tell me, than positive days. There's a lot of bumps along the way, correct? What would you say have been some of your biggest challenges so far at this stage in getting 11 Football up and running?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're so heavy in development right now. That's sort of like the top of mind for me. And I think, it's really been turning a digital design into a physical product and all the little details you need to focus on. For example, when I was at the factory, I reviewed 20 samples of laces. I didn't, I thought a lace was a lace, and no, it's not. There's different colors and fabrics and an aglet, which is the tip of the lace, and all that. So it's really been, I think, it's stuff I really enjoy. Don't get me wrong, but I think there's a lot of tediousness to bringing a physical product to life and making sure you get all the details right.
Yeah, and I think I saw one day you visited, you showed like buckets of just eyelets and things like that. You had, is that correct? I mean,
yeah.
So that's just crazy. But it's got to be pretty cool to see. And I did see in your last trip there, you're starting to see the actual product come together. And I don't know where you're at exactly, but I don't know if there's an actual shoe yet. But seeing those physical pieces come together has got to help, I would think, make up for a lot of the stress leading up to that point. It's got to be cool to see that, right?
Yeah, you get over those like early frustrations or low points. I think actually seeing the product come to life makes it all worth it. I'd also say I think maybe a surprising like highlight of this whole journey so far has been like the encouragement and support from people who have reached out, like yourself, saying, "Hey, I love what you do. Like, keep going." I think that's been amazing. That's another thing that just helps get you through those, those minimum points.
Yeah. Well, hey, here at Straight from the Training Ground, we do what we can. So, but no, I think it's great. And I'm sure that all those little moments help, like you said. And I can't imagine the setbacks and timelines and the frustrations and things like that must go into what you're trying to do right now. That kind of leads me to my next question. So one thing I love to ask people in your situation is, and sometimes people have said flat out, we haven't gotten to that point yet. So feel free. It's okay.
Yeah.
But at this point in kind of your entrepreneurial journey, do you feel like you've had any aha moments, as I like to call them, where, a lot of people out there in any aspect of the world have an idea, but it's a very different thing, as you know right now, to actually make that come to fruition. So have you had any aha moments along the way where you thought, we're on to something? I mean, I really think we can make this happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably been a couple throughout, and I'm hoping there'll be some more ahas when we actually launch. People can actually wear the product.
Sure. Yeah.
I think honestly that one of the early aha moments that strikes me was when we decided to focus on a turf shoe.
Okay.
So it was actually the idea of our designer, Tom Rushbrook. Originally, I wanted to do a firm ground cleat, and I wanted to be very tech focused, bring some innovation to the space. And then we started looking at the market, and we said, it just feels like turf is a little bit of a forgotten segment for a lot of the big brands. If you look at any of their top end cleats, and then you look at the turf equivalent, it's just a different category, meaning different materials, different construction, it's just a cheaper product.
Yeah, it's not the same level. Yeah.
It's not. You think that'd be closer. So I think the aha moment was, oh, wow, there's something we can do here. There's something new and exciting we can bring to the market. And I think that really set us on our path.
Long term, and again, I don't want to put you on the spot. We talked about maybe making a boot someday and those kind of things. But in a perfect world, long term, and I know right now you're just trying to recover from your trip from China. But long term, what would you love to see? What kind of corner in the soccer market would you love to see from 11 football?
I think I certainly have aspirations to compete with the big guys. So hopefully it's a little bit larger than that corner. But I think what we're trying to build is the most authentic soccer brand we can be. And so really the goal is hopefully, players and people come to us, say what's the best soccer brand in the world? And hopefully that can be us.
But what advice do you have to anyone out there, even if it's not in the soccer world, who's thinking about, doing something like you are right now? They're thinking about starting a product or creating something on their own, or maybe starting their own business. What would be some of your best advice you could give those people?
Yeah, I think from my experience, and before I started 11, I had another business that I ran. The advice I honestly always give is just find a way to get started. I think when you're thinking about starting a business, it's a pretty huge undertaking, and you can often get caught up in, oh my God, there's all this stuff I need to do. And then as a result, here are all the reasons why now is not the right time, or maybe I can't do it at all. But I think if you can find a way to just start small, start doing something, that really helps you build momentum. It helps attract people into your
interest, your
interest, or you find people to work with, and that's really, I think, what ends up literally getting the ball rolling to help build a business. So I think my main advice is always just find a way to start, break down the big problem to something a little more manageable, smaller steps, but get started, and you'd be amazed at what can happen.
Just have to take the leap, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate it. And again, we're here with Ben from 11 Football. If you're not sure what that is, make sure you check them out. They have a website, 11football.com, I believe. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep.
Spelled out ELEVEN, 11 Football. They're also all over social media and Instagram. So follow them. We'll put links down below for everybody. Ben, we'll get you out here. I have one more question. So you mentioned August is your goal, hopefully, and we all know those things don't work out perfectly. But can you give us a little bit of an idea between what your timeline and goals are from now leading up to August to putting an actual turf boot out there for the public to purchase?
Yeah, I mentioned we're going through wear testing. So it's really getting feedback from players, iterating on that feedback, getting into small production trials, then larger production runs. And at the same time, really starting to get our brand out there more. So I'll be doing a bunch of in-person events and tournaments, just to start showing off the product.
Okay.
That's really it. That's the name of the game.
How long, or what are you planning in terms of, like, I have no idea how these things work. So what would you say you're planning for, like, the trial period? Once you get a couple samples made, you get them out to some people. How does that process work, and what kind of timeline? Are you just talking like a couple weeks, a month or two?
Yeah, I mean, we will do tests for as long as we need to make the product perfect. But the first round of wear testing is to last about a month.
Okay.
And we're going to have about, I think, close to 30 players involved, who will be giving us weekly feedback on, how it's fitting, how it's performing, any suggestions, things like that. And then, kind of in real time, we'll be working with the factory to help implement some of those suggestions and keep improving the product.
Okay. And then you implement some time where you can go back to the drawing board, so to speak, maybe tweak some things.
Hopefully not completely back to the drawing board, but
Well,
yeah.
yeah. But I mean, that's the process, correct? I mean,
yeah, there's time baked in so that we can react to the feedback we're getting from the players and be able to keep making adjustments to make it perfect.
very cool. So again, we appreciate you taking the time. We're here with Ben Chehebar, the founder of 11 Football. Make sure you check them out. He's in the process of creating the company 11 Football, creating a turf boot out of kangaroo leather for all of you classic football fans out there like myself. But we appreciate it, and we appreciate all of your hard work. And again, sincerely on my end of things, people don't know a lot of times what goes into these things when we're recording or trying to set up times, but he's been out of the country. He's been in China for a week, still trying to recover and get his schedule back on track. And we really appreciate you taking the time to talk some soccer here with us, Ben. And best of luck. We hope to keep in touch with you. And best of luck to 11 Football.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Jason. Thanks for having me.